First tonight, do you give money to beggars? Well, police in Sheffield say if you do, you are part of the problem.
In a no-holds-barred message, they say there's a rise in the number of beggars on the streets and much of their earnings is spent on drugs. Some can make more than £100 a day in the city centre.
In a moment, we'll speak to a homeless charity to get their views, but first, this report from Mark Ansell.
Matthew sleeps rough and begs in Sheffield city centre. He admits to using some of the money he's given to buy drugs.
All I'm bothered about is acknowledgement. Is being acknowledged. It's like if someone passes me food, that's enough for me. So it's like when people walk past you, it's like spare change. It's like sometimes I've even sat down and said hello to 4 or 5 people, not one hello back.
PCSO Steve Hart has been checking on homeless people here for 11 years.
All right, love.
Part of his job is to try to stop begging. He says the public is a big part of the problem.
If you give money to a beggar and you don't know what he's doing with that money, if he's injecting that into his arm later on and he then dies later on, if you hadn't given him that money, that might not have happened. Give that money to a charity, because these, whether they're homeless, whether they're drug addicts, whether they're not drug addicts, we've got a lot of services in Sheffield who will help anyone and everyone who goes in to speak to them. We've also got a female who looks to have succumbed to the effects of spice.
It wasn't long before we came across people under the influence of illegal drugs. It's thought a lot of the money given to beggars is spent on drugs, including spice. The police report a big rise in the number of people begging in Sheffield city centre, but Steve says homelessness has not gone up here.
But what you've got is people sat with a sleeping bag around the shoulder or a blanket around the legs begging, and people assume then that they're homeless. They may tell people that they're homeless because that aids them begging. They're not homeless, so it's not a homeless problem, it's a begging problem, and that has increased.
Big issue, please, big issue.
John Murphy sells the big issue and is a lot happier to be working for money.
I've begged in the past many years ago, and it's like there is a lot of access to accommodation, and it's just a matter of individuals. The help's there for them, and it's just working out how to get them off the street, because I don't think it's about being homeless. I think it's about a way of life.
But Matthew, who begs, or taps as it's known on the street, thinks efforts to try to stop people giving money could be counterproductive.
People would be nicking, wouldn't they? There'd be more shoplifters. There'd be more shoplifters, there'd be more street mugging, and to be honest, there'd probably be a lot more stabbings for wallets. So basically, I think tapping is the safest way.
Come on, Rich, get this end up away from here and disappear.
That won't stop Steve moving people on. He believes if their supply of free money is stopped, the problems of begging and drug taking would drop dramatically. Mark Ansell, BBC Look North, Sheffield.